Hey Baddies, we want to take a quick minute to shout out our amazing sponsor, Eli Lilly, for supporting our mission here on Baddie to Baddie. Because of their generosity, we can keep these important conversations about breast cancer awareness, education, and advocacy going strong for our community of women of color. We send our sincere thanks to our partners at Eli Lilly for standing with us. Calling all permanent makeup artists. Discover how you can join our mission to empower breast cancer survivors of color with specialized permanent makeup services. It's more than makeup, it's a movement. Connect with us and find out how you can contribute to this empowering cause by visiting baddiebeautycollective.com. In return, you will receive free breast health education, permanent makeup trainings, and much more. The Baddie Beauty Collective is brought to you by For the Breast of Us, Artistry by Zuri, and PM Yukon. If you're a breast cancer survivor looking to boost your confidence and add a bit of swag to your new normal, this is your invitation to explore free and discounted permanent makeup services by artists trained in the specifics and nuances of skin for women of color. From eyebrows to 3D areola and scar transformation, join us and let your journey of empowerment begin. Check out the Baddie Beauty Collective, brought to you by For the Breast of Us, Artistry by Zuri, and PM Yukon by visiting baddiebeautycollective.com.
Hey girl, hey. You've entered Baddie Behavior, where the breast cancer baddies come together with other survivors and thrivers to have candid conversations about life, sex, body changes, and relationships after breast cancer in a judgment-free space. All are welcome. Let's get started.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another Baddie to Baddie podcast. This is your OG, triple OG, plus size baddie, April, checking in today. And we have a special guest in our audience today with us, Miss Cara Lockwood. Thank you, Cara, for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
We're so happy to have you here. And where are you currently located?
Yeah, I'm near Chicago. So I'm in the suburbs of Chicago right now. So
okay. What's the weather like up there today?
Nice and fall. Like it's a little bit, it's that like 3 days where it's nice. And it's like in the 70s and nice before it gets really frigid and cold. And we have like 2 feet of snow and and like 9 months of winter. But right now it's nice. Fall's great. Fall's a nice time.
Okay, good. So no snow yet.
No snow yet. Knock on wood. I mean, we never know because it can happen at any time.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a drastic difference from the South. I'm in South Carolina. So if we even get a few sprinkles of snow, the whole city shuts down.
I get it. I grew up in Dallas. So same. Like my whole family still lives there and they're like, what are you doing? What are you actually doing up there in the frozen north? Like, you know, because I could do that when it gets really cold. I can take the boiling water and throw it outside and it turns into snow. And they're like, what? But we have raised you in the wrong way for you to be up there. What are you doing with your life? But no, I enjoy Chicago. It's a great city.
You're maintaining your sanity.
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah. So we have survived another breast cancer awareness month. Yes. We call it Breast Cancer Action Month here with For the Breast of Us because we're moving from awareness to action. I think we are pretty aware of what our statistical data states for women of color and how we are impacted. Yes. So we need to move from awareness to action and doing advocacy work and, you know, getting out there and doing things like what we're doing right now with the podcast. So tell me a little bit about your Breast Cancer Action Month. Did you participate in any kind of talks or any kind of conferences or activities? What did you do?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of interviews, actually, like this one, talking about breast cancer. I've been working with twistedpink.org. They do care boxes for people in treatment. So
Okay.
I've been helping them with fundraise and also get a free copy of the book in their care boxes so that people in treatment can get one. But I'm also working with Susan G. Komen and helping them fundraise, and the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, because I think we need more research, especially
Absolutely.
for women of color, but for all of us. Just, I think if we end breast cancer, then I would love this club, the Baddie Club, to go away forever, to be closed to new members forever. That would be
Absolutely.
amazing.
It would
So,
be.
yeah.
Absolutely. As much as, we often say that this is the club that you hate that you had to join, but once you're here, you're so happy that you're here.
Yeah.
And as much as we welcome with open arms our Baddie sisters, it is very heartbreaking when we have so many women every day being diagnosed, and also just as quickly as women are being diagnosed, we're also we are also having women who are gaining their healing on the other side.
Yes.
I don't like to say that those impacted with the actual diagnosis have passed away or they lost their battle. No, you gained your healing on the other side, and you're a thriver and a survivor the moment that you're diagnosed, because you win the battle in your mind before you even start any kind of treatment. So
yeah. And I think that is such an amazing point, because I think so many people feel like death is defeat, but death is inevitable for all of us. And getting your healing on the other side is a perfect way to think about it, because winning is living your life on your terms, no matter what that looks like.
Absolutely.
Through the end of it, how you want to live, what kind of treatments you want to get, what kind of attitude you want to have, like what you're doing with whatever time you have. That's where you win. Death is just what comes for all of us at the end.
Absolutely. Just as sure as we're born, we're all going to transition.
Yeah.
So I think you said it best. The surviving, the winning is how you live your life, what you choose to do with every single moment.
Exactly.
Before the diagnosis, after the diagnosis, during treatment, after treatment.
Yeah.
That's where you really learn to thrive, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no, I mean, that's where you find your purpose and your meaning often. I think there's no shame in doing your best on the battlefield. Like, I can think of worse ways to go. This is what for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was having a conversation, I was reading a post that said it's not a flex to not use your days off, to not use your PTO or your time away. And that took me back in my mind to think about when I was going through treatment. I took some time away to, focus on just going through treatment, trying to get through the initial stages of it all. And I remember there was another woman, another educator in not my building, but in my district, who had been diagnosed at the same time. And someone was commenting of, oh, wow, she's gone to work every day. And I'm like, she's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make her, like, her battle isn't any different from mine.
No.
If anything, she's neglecting herself by not putting herself first and staying home and recovering, because
so true.
There's no gold medal or no monetary reward that you receive for not taking time off to take care of yourself.
Exactly. There's no prize. Like, in my book, there's no good book for this, about breast cancer. I talk about how there isn't a prize for, like, toughing it out, for, like, not reaching out to your support group, for not taking the time for yourself, because you just end up potentially harming your own recovery, like depleting your own resources. It's tough enough, I think we should all be a little kind to ourselves, and we're not all super women. Yeah, we are, but we need that time, to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny too that you mentioned about taking time off work, because I get a second opinion from an oncologist who, because I, at the end of, after I had a double mastectomy, my tumor was just like a millimeter too big for if it were 6 millimeters, they'd say definitely chemo. If it were 3, they'd say no chemo. And mine was 5. So they said, hey, it's up to you. We think you should because you're pretty much 6, but it's up to you. So I went and got a second opinion from an oncologist, and he said, well, he was basically like, it's not so bad, firefighters, do this and they go to work, police women do this and they go to work. And I'm like, what? I'm like, how do you, because then I had chemo and I was like, I don't know how you would put out a fire and, deal with this at the same time. Like, I don't know who he was dealing with, but, because there's a little bit, since I'm a romance novelist, by day, there was a little bit of like, I think you can handle the keyboard, like, I think you could do that. And I was like, okay, all right, old man. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Man.
I'm like, okay. All right. But he was a little like, rub some dirt on it. You're fine. Get out of here, kid. Come back to me when you have a real problem, In fairness, I'm sure he sees very complex cases. Like, he was a big muckety muck, at a very important hospital, and I'm sure he sees a lot of cases. But I was like, well, I'm going to stay home. I'm not going to go fight fires. I'm going to stay home, take care of myself a little bit, because there were some days where that's all I could do, go to bed,
Absolutely.
And that, I feel like that was being a hero, going to bed,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was being a hero to say, despite your professional opinion, I'm going to listen to my body and do what's best for me. Exactly.
And there is no shame in that. Like, nobody, you don't get special ribbons or medals at the end for dragging yourself out to work, or, to the dinner you don't want to go to, or the PTA meeting, or any of those things. I joke all the time that the one of the few upsides to cancer is the cancer card, and you should play it. You should play it often. Often, man. If you're gonna have, yeah, right.
Yeah, that's big joker. If you play spades, that's the big joker, and you need to slam it on the table every chance you get.
Exactly, it trumps everything.
Everything.
Cancer. Like, forget it. Like, I don't want to do that. Cancer, like, because it's already upended your life. So you might as well, get out of, stay home from work, use some PTO. Like, everyone will understand. I don't know a single person who's like, oh gosh, she's got cancer, she's missing work. Like, yeah. I got cancer. I'm missing work. I'm losing all my hair. I feel terrible. Like, I'm missing work,
Yeah. And if they don't understand, oh, well.
Yeah, exactly. Because it does give you that perspective, doesn't it? Like, what is really a big problem or not?
Mm-hmm. It really does. So I want to go back just a little bit, Cara, because we have jumped right into the conversation.
Yeah.
I want for our listeners, for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are. You mentioned that you're a romance novelist by day.
Yes.
And then once you tell us a little bit about who you are, tell us about your how breast cancer has impacted your life.
Yeah, I will. So I'm a 2-time USA Today bestseller. So 2 of my romances have been on the bestseller list. I write under 2 names, Cara Lockwood and Cara Tanamachi. And Tanamachi is the name I was born with. My dad's Japanese American, and I grew up in Texas. But 2 of my books are movies. So the first one was made into a Lifetime movie with Denise Richards called I Do But I Don't. And I also wrote the Dater's Handbook with Meghan Markle that was on the Hallmark Channel. So normally I write happily ever afters and rom-coms and just all the fun stories about people falling in love and, everything working out, the Hallmark moments. But in 2023, I was diagnosed with breast cancer and, just turned my world upside down, as it does. Cancer did not run in my family. On my Japanese side, there was stroke, but there was no cancer. And even on my mom's Scottish Irish side, there wasn't really cancer. There was heart disease, So I was sort of expecting one of those to be the issue. So breast cancer just kind of came out of the blue. Like no one knew really what to do with it. It wasn't something I expected. Came up in a routine mammogram. So anyone listening cannot stress enough. Go get your boob squeezed. Go get your mammograms. Early detection is the key to everything. So yeah. And then after that had a double mastectomy, chemotherapy and immunotherapy because I had HER2 positive breast cancer. Okay. And went into remission in 2024 and wrote a memoir about my experience called There's No Good Book for This. But I wrote one anyway, The Irreverent Guide to Crushing Breast Cancer, just to share less about, the medical decisions you should make and more about emotionally, where are you? You shouldn't be alone. I feel like it's such a harrowing journey for so many. And for me, it was very eye-opening to find out that Asian American women are among the rates of breast cancer for Asian Americans under 50 is growing at a ridiculous rate. I grew at 50% from in the early 2020s, until now. So we're, just a high risk group. And I had no idea, I don't feel like it's very publicized as a lot of news about, women of color, aren't. While the mortality rates for other groups of women have gone down, for Asian American women, it's remained steady. So it hasn't gone down. So the rates of diagnosis are going up and the mortality rates are not going down. So there's a lot of late diagnosis in a lot of communities for people. And I think it's a common problem for many women of color, across the spectrum. Getting that early diagnosis is key. So I was just hoping to, have some awareness around it. And 50% of the proceeds go to Susan G. Komen and the Breast Cancer Research Foundation because, again, I want to end breast cancer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for everyone.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Your daytime job sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really, really fun. It's harder to write rom-coms during cancer, but I did manage it. There was actually I had a book launch while I was going through chemo, so I had to go out in public. I had to do book signings, post videos. That was a whole other, level of challenge that I was not expecting. But people were so kind and so completely supportive and, embraced everything that was going on. And, so the community was wonderful. Romance readers are amazing. They're full of love. They love love.
Yeah, so, they love love. We love love, and we have big, passionate hearts. Yes,
exactly. So it was a wonderful community to be in. Incredibly supportive.
So tell me, Cara, and when you were diagnosed, were you forthcoming with your diagnosis, with sharing with your family and with your colleagues, or were you private initially when you were first diagnosed?
Yeah, I initially only shared with those closest to me, my husband, and, my very, very closest friends. I think, despite having sort of a public persona, it's also very difficult to know what to share, when to share, especially because I think not only is there, just the fear. I mean, there's so much fear around it, and the more people you tell, the more real it gets, and you get all those questions. What stage is it? What's the treatment? And you have no idea because you've just started your journey as a human pincushion. You have no idea. This is just the diagnosis, and so initially, I just started very slowly in telling people, and I was hesitant to tell, my publisher because I had a big book coming, and I wasn't sure how they would react, to the diagnosis. I know, in my Japanese side of the family, people are very private with everything, so it's not very common to learn about, things you almost have to learn by accident sometimes. If someone has like diabetes or, high blood pressure, for very close relatives, sometimes I would find out completely by accident, because those sorts of things were just very, kept very private. But I, went back and forth, but thankfully, had a counselor that I reached out to, that I had gone to for various difficult moments in my life, for a divorce and, difficult down moments. I had a miscarriage and, talked to her about that. And thankfully I had her as an outlet because she really helped me work through a lot of the heavy mental health parts of it and see what could be, the healthiest for me, and help me get past the feeling of like I needed to keep it in and keep it to myself, So talking to her helped me talk to others. And because as I processed my feelings with her, then I could face others, and I could talk about it with others, and, started doing that, slowly over time. Like the circle gradually got bigger and bigger, and because she helped me see keeping people out, there's no ribbon for that, right? There's no like, I've toughed it out by not burdening you. And then what ends up happening is some of those people closest to you feel betrayed. They feel like, why didn't you tell me? I would have done something to help. I wanted to know. And because I think in a lot of Asian American families and community, there's a feeling like I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be a burden on you. This is, I should not lean on you or inconvenience you. But in doing that, you sort of take away a person's ability to help. Yeah. And there's something that I learned about called the helper's high, which, is that feeling you get, that good feeling inside when you help someone, when you do something good. And so if you don't share that you're going through something and you don't allow people to help, then you're sort of stealing away that joy they can get from helping you. So when it was framed like that, I was like, oh, okay, I need to let people in. I need to talk to people. Like I need to, have my friends around me. And I was so glad I did, because it was just such a support, even small things like, running to the grocery store for me, or, picking up some prescriptions, or even very small things, making dinner, it was just made me feel like taken care of and loved and, supported, which was amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Isn't it interesting how it's in communities of color, we are often seen as people who help, people who go the extra mile to take care of others, but then turn around in the same breath and have a level of shame.
I know.
It's like so contradictory. Like, what are we doing here? Like,
I know. I could not agree more. Like, there's something, like that. Oh no, we can't be the ones that are a burden, or and that shame is so interesting too, because it does feel like, I did have to work through, like, did I do something? Did I not eat right? Did I use the wrong deodorant? Did I, all of those things like that help bring on that shame, like surely, because I think most people feel that. Like, could I have done something differently? You know,
Yeah.
Like when I got my routine mammogram, I was like 3 months late in getting it. So I was like, oh no, did it, have I, done something, to, impede my progress or, make my diagnosis worse or, and I just think it's so important to put that down,
Yeah.
to put that blame. Nobody asks for cancer. Nobody wants cancer.
No.
This is not something you did. Even if you put off the mammogram for years, even if there were good reasons to do it, there's no reason to blame yourself and feel like, it and hold that shame. Like nobody asked for it. It can happen to absolutely anyone at any time for any reason. So I'm sure you feel the same. Like I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Well, my cancer diagnosis, I have a very strong history of breast, reproductive, prostate, and digestive cancers on both my mother and father's side.
Oh no! So you got the double whammy. Oh
yeah,
no.
It's like it's quadruple loophole. I don't know. It's crazy, but I was diagnosed triple negative, BRCA1 positive. My grandmother, who lived to be 101 years old, she passed in 2022. She was diagnosed with breast cancer twice. Her first diagnosis was in her late or early 50s. She had one breast removed, and this was during the times when all they did was just cut you flat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And 8 months. Yeah, and 8 months later, she developed breast cancer on the other side, and they did the same thing. So she didn't do any chemotherapy or anything like that. And thank God, cancer didn't return after both of her breasts were removed. But out of her 8 children, she had 4 daughters, 4 sons, and her 4 daughters had all been either diagnosed with breast, reproductive, or colon cancers.
Oh God.
Then her first generation granddaughter was diagnosed.
No.
And after my diagnosis, 4 of my first cousins were diagnosed after me within a 4-year period. So, I never once felt like, well, what did I do? Because I already knew what happened. I mean, it was
you were like, this is
DNA,
it. This
right?
Is it. Yeah. This is, the genes. It's in the genes.
Yeah, it was the gene, But then you listen to people make comments about, well, if you hadn't eaten all that sugar, maybe it wouldn't have, it wouldn't have developed. Like, that's not how it.
Worked. Or what kind did you have more than a glass of wine a day? Well, that's probably it. Or I've found people they ask and say insensitive things because they're scared themselves. They want to put it in a box. They want to say, okay, well, if I don't eat sugar or I don't drink or I don't use aluminum deodorant, I'm fine, because they did that and they have breast cancer and I'll be fine. And I think it's just, unfortunately, like a human reaction. Like how do I make sure I'm safe? Because, this is a terrible story and it's really scary. And I just want to make sure I'm okay. And so it's about them trying to figure out, well, what did you do?
What did you do that I should not do?
Exactly.
To keep this from happening to me.
Exactly. And unfortunately, like 75% of breast cancer isn't genetic. Like it's only like a quarter that's actually genetic that they can track. So most of the time they have no idea what caused it. They have no idea why, certain people develop it. Maybe if we do more research, we'll figure out, a better metric, but right now people just don't know. Yeah. So I think, I think that's just like self-preservation. People just trying to feel better, less scared. Yeah. Because it's really, even though you had you knew it right in your family, I'm sure it was still terrifying for you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely it was. And, I started getting questions, well, before I even started getting questions, of course, the people who I told immediately were my mother and father, who were my caregivers. Yeah. And I remember sharing with my mom, like, what my plans were, what I was going to do. And she asked me, she was like, well, I think maybe you should just kind of keep this to yourself. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that, because I need people to be praying with me, like for me. Like I need all the people, like
all the prayers
and sending all the good stuff this way.
Yes.
But then I also found that I was having relatives, like you said, were asking all of these questions. And it didn't even occur to me that they were asking these questions as a preventative way for them.
Right.
So I'm curious, when you shared with your family, what were their responses?
Yeah. Shock. I mean, there was a lot of shock. And my dad's a retired orthopedic surgeon. So,
okay.
So he, just knew more about, I mean, he didn't deal with cancer, because mostly he dealt with, dislocated shoulders and, bum knees.
He's more educated on the human body.
Yeah. So, he really wanted to know all the medical stuff, so that he could really dig into it. My mom was just really shocked, really upset. There were I had an aunt not related to me, but by marriage, who had breast cancer. So, she was eager to send me that giant phone book of information, of medical information, that the terrifying phone book. I had many well-meaning friends and relatives that wanted to send me the terrifying phone book, where you open it up and there's like, double mastectomy, like pictures, and like all of the things that are terrifying. And I know those books are really important, and I know a lot of people really want them, and they're good to have. They were terrifying to me. They just terrified me completely. So yeah, I mean, I think there were, for friends and family, there was like, leading questions, like, what was your diet like? I heard like there's a lot of red meat, with cancer. Like, do you have a lot, like, what's your diet like? And there were just multiple questions like that felt like,
interrogation.
Interrogation. Yeah. And then, but eventually sometimes I would just get to the point where I was like, like I'm like, kind of, I'm done answering questions, for now. Like, that's I'll try, but like, at some point, I think it's okay to say, there's like, I maybe don't want to talk about that, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think most of the reaction, which I think is pretty common for people, there were the interrogators that really wanted to get into it and figure out like what they shouldn't do. But I think the vast majority of people did what I call the pity and pivot, which is like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Oh, that's terrible. Hey, did you hear about like your neighbor? She got divorced. Have we talked about that? Like, it's like a quick, they don't want to sit in the bad too long, and it just feels uncomfortable for them. And or it could be like, oh, you're a warrior, you've got it. Hey, did I tell you about what happened at work? Like, and it's like a no, you've got it, you're fine. Like, just skip on over all the bad stuff. You're a warrior, you're strong, you've done, and then like, let's pivot to something else.
Yeah.
Did you get that? Did you get a like, you got it, you're fine? Yeah,
I got so many. Oh, you're strong. I know you'll make it through this. Oh, I had no doubts that you were gonna die. And I'm like, what?
I know. I'm like, I'm glad you're confident. I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified. Yeah, that's right.
I thought it was really like, okay. And it was such a mixed bag of what my feelings were. It just kind of depended on the day. It depended on the situation. I will definitely tell you that the people who I thought were going to be like 100% had my back, would be there supporting me and doing all the things, were totally not the people who ended up showing up.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Like the
Yeah.
people that show up and the people that
Yeah.
really show up. And then,
Hmm.
I mean, it is a test of friendship and
It
relationships.
is.
Like
It
who's really
is.
there for you? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you find yourself, well, I know I found myself, your family, you know, they love you unconditionally, right? And they
Yes.
want to see you do well. And they're all also at the same time dealing, balancing their own insecurities,
Hmm.
their own struggles.
Hmm.
So things slip out, comments are made, feelings are hurt, you know,
Hmm.
without intention of doing that.
Yeah.
But the biggest takeaway for cancer for me was the relationships and the sisterhood that I've established and built with other women who are
Yeah.
walking the same walk that I was
Hmm.
walking, and the
Oh, yeah.
connection that we made, whether it was through Facebook or
Hmm.
Instagram or, you know, some other form of social media. It was just amazing. And,
Yeah.
you know, to have these people become a part of your life because you have this commonality, you know, you were both, you know,
Yes.
hey, you had chemo yesterday, I got chemo tomorrow. I'm gonna cheer you on
Yes.
today, you cheer me on tomorrow.
Yeah,
It just created
exactly.
that camaraderie that you just unexplainable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you're on a battlefield. I mean, you
Yeah.
are like you are in a fight that other people are not having to deal with.
Mm-mm.
And, it is incredibly important to have like other people that understand, what you're
Absolutely.
dealing with. And that support is so important.
Absolutely.
It's so wonderful. I mean, the Baddie Club, I don't know, is amazing and important.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me how so tell us about your book.
Yeah.
Tell us how, of course, we know that you're a novelist, of course, but what made you decide to write this book? What made you decide to share your truth?
Yeah. 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 I didn't intend to, but it wasn't, a plan, when I was diagnosed or going through it. I was journaling a lot because writing is the way I get my feelings out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the way I express myself. It always has been. So, journaling a lot, and all those big feelings you're talking about, there are a lot of them, and they happen sometimes in the same day or same hour. So,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
getting it out, it just felt good. But after went into remission, a good friend of mine, her friend had been diagnosed, with breast cancer, and I was, she was asking me questions about, what it was like, and if I would talk to her, and then she said, that I should really think about like writing a book about it, like just
Mm-hmm.
writing a book that might, help people feel seen. And I was like, yeah, why don't I do that? I've got the
Okay.
journals, so I went back to the journals and put together what's my story, but also sort of a roadmap to get from diagnosis to however your journey ends. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think there's just so much of the you're a warrior, you got it, you're strong, whatever, it's fine. Like
Mm-hmm.
people just feel like, oh, you'll be fine. And they admire breast cancer survivors as well. They should, but
Mm-hmm.
there's just a feeling like, oh, okay, well, you're just going to do that. Whereas to me, and I'm sure once you're diagnosed, it's like, how am I getting there? How am I
Right.
getting there to a baddie status? How do I get there? Like, I'm
Right.
scared. I don't know how I'm going to, most of the time I was imagining flying to Australia and getting away from everything and never going to another doctor's office again in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I was scared. I was not brave and tough. And I was crying in the shower and in the car and all the time. And that is really what I want to talk about in the book, which is there isn't a good book for it,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not alone. Each chapter
Mm-hmm.
ends with a pep talk. There's nothing really scary. There are no scary diagrams in it, like
Mm-hmm.
the terrifying, breast cancer books. This is really like the emotional journey of how you get from diagnosis to kick-ass baddie at the end. How do
Mm-hmm.
you get there? What is that journey like? What are some of the things you have to deal with, which is like shame and those negative self-talk that constantly rolls on a loop, like the worst playlist of all time in your head.
Right.
Like, how do you get a handle on that? How do you figure out like who you can lean on, in your circle of friends and family, like who's there for you, so all of those elements are there because I felt like there really wasn't a lot of discussion out there about the mental health part of it, the emotional part of it. Like, how do you, because there's no way you can fight the physical if you've lost the mental battle,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's really what the book is about and why I wrote it.
Okay. So with your book, what part or what chapter would you say your rawest, most honest emotion is written?
That's a good question. I think there are a couple of chapters because I think at the beginning when I talk about the diagnosis and especially having to tell people. So there's a chapter early on, the pity and pivot chapter. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. But the hardest thing I had to do was tell my youngest daughter, who was 15 at the time, that the biopsy came back and it was malignant and it was cancer. And she had just started her sophomore year of high school. And my oldest at the time was a junior in high school. But the youngest, always been my baby, Yeah. And she just immediately burst into tears and, started crying. And I just felt like just the worst disappointment, as a parent, because you're not supposed to be sick. This was something that like she had to have. There was so much responsibility that she felt about like, and worry and being scared. And it was already scary enough being a 15-year-old, as in school and worried about college and friends and homecoming and all the things you're supposed to worry about when you're 15. You're not supposed to worry about your mom maybe not making it to graduation. That's not something you're ever supposed to worry about. And there's just a lot of feelings of shame and guilt around that. Like, I'm not holding up my end of the bargain of being a parent, So I delve into that a little bit in that chapter because it's a real feeling. Like it's difficult. It's I think it's hard to. I think it's one thing when we're all trying to hold up, and be strong on the outside, and not show weakness, ever
right.
at time. But cancer cuts through that.
It does.
It really does. Like it's, yeah. And I just never thought I would have to lean on my kids so hard, because cancer really affects the whole family. It doesn't. It's not just the person going through it. And in some ways, when you're the one getting the treatment, you can at least be like, well, okay, I'm the one that feels nauseous. I'm the one that has the pain. I'm the, but everybody else just has to sit around and, and
watch,
and watch. And that's
agonizing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is for sure. So I would say that's probably the most heartfelt for sure.
Okay. So as difficult as it was for you to share with your daughter, your diagnosis, and you having that feeling of, gosh, this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
This is terrible. This is happening, that she has to experience this. Yeah. What was the sweet spot that came out of that though?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was funny. I did end up cracking a joke later because she had been worried about college applications. And she said she was, even though she was a sophomore, she's type A. So she was already thinking about, all of the things. So she was worried about her college essay. So I was like, well, I just gave you the best topic for your college essay. You're welcome.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. You are welcome. Now you're going to get into whatever school you want. You're welcome.
Absolutely. That story of resilience wins every time.
Exactly. I'm like, you can't beat it. So, so that was a bright spot. And she's a senior now, and she's applying to colleges, and she did end up writing about it. So,
okay. Great.
Yeah.
Great. So, what chapter of the book did you enjoy writing the most?
Yeah. I mean, some of them were easier than others, obviously to write. It was interesting to me because I really did enjoy there's writing the sillier parts of the book. So because humor, it runs throughout the book because silly things happen all the time in cancer. And I think sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to laugh because it's sort of like, this is serious. This is terrible. Like, we should not be laughing. Like, this is, but I think laughter is like the best medicine and sometimes your best weapon in,
absolutely
the most absurd situations. So my husband and I are goofballs, but he always, on my first trip to chemotherapy, he's been an amazing support throughout this entire thing. Went to every doctor's appointment, was always cracking jokes when I needed one. Awesome. Yeah, just an amazing partner. And when I was on my way to my first chemotherapy treatment, I was like, okay, I'm going to need a pep talk because it's one thing when the doctor's like, you have to do this or you'll die. And it's kind of another thing if the doctor's like, you have to do this or maybe you'll die. You might regret it because but we're going to leave it up to you. Kind of, we're just going to like strongly imply that, I mean, you may not die, but if the cancer comes back, you're definitely dead. Like, so it's like, okay. So I just needed a pep talk because like the voluntarily poisoning myself part, I was having a really hard time with. Like a really hard. It was one thing if it was just like, this is no way out. You got to do it. And this was sort of like, this is an insurance policy. So you really should. So I told my husband, I'm like, okay, I'm going to need a pep talk. I'm going to need a pep talk. And he's like, okay. And he was really serious. And we were driving in the car and he's like, okay. He's like, let's go do this. Yeah, chemo. Yeah, we're going to go do it. Yeah. And I was like, what is happening? Why are you so excited?
This isn't what I signed up for, sir.
And he's like, all right. And he's like, I coach Little League soccer. That's a pep talk. So treated it like, I was a 10-year-old soccer player. It was awesome, though. Awesome. Just because I cracked up so hard. And then it became less scary, as everything does. When you laugh, it's hard to be scared. You can't be scared when you're laughing. Like, it takes you get to take some of your power back when you laugh.
Absolutely. So every time before you went to chemo,
got one of those pep talks.
You got the big pep talk.
I got a big pep talk. I always got a big pep talk. So
I love that.
So then every time we went, we just made fun. We blasted songs. We lip synced to all kinds of things. Okay. Yeah. He gave me ridiculous pep talks. It was amazing. It was great. So those were the fun parts of the book to write, for sure.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I remember there was a couple who was at my cancer center, and every time they came in for treatment, I can't remember if it was the husband or the wife who was receiving treatment, but every time they came in a different costume. And
that's awesome. I love it.
Walk through the doors as, I don't know. I mean, they
Batman and Robin or whatever.
Yeah, all kind of things. Like the joy that it brought everybody who was sitting in there to see them walk in the doors. Like, I wonder what they coming in looking like this time.
That's awesome.
It just made that burden so much lighter,
Yeah. Yes.
Even for myself, I traveled. I was on one of my second round. I was on a weekly infusion. And so I would fly from Columbia to Atlanta. And I treated every flight, and I did it for 17, no, wait, 12, 13 rounds, 13 trips. And every trip, I treated it like I get to eat in a new restaurant in the Atlanta airport.
That's right.
I'm going down to this concourse. I mean, it was like, I made it a big deal. Like,
good.
Oh, I get to go and get something good to eat. And, you know, some days I felt like eating, some days I didn't. And then, you know, sometimes I had company. I'd have people like, meet me at this concourse, you know. Like, I can't get that far. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I got to meet you at the front.
Exactly.
But I mean, I just, in the moment of it all, I just remember feeling like if I just do it and don't think about it, I'll get through it.
Yeah.
But it hit me like a ton of bricks when I was done.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
did you have that experience too?
Yeah, I did. Well, I did. And there's something called it's called the arrival fallacy. And it's a psychological term that's like if you reach a goal, sometimes you feel empty and disappointed. And when I went into remission and I had the last, because I had 12 rounds of chemotherapy weekly, and then 20 some rounds of immunotherapy, which was less, but still you still got to get that stuff. And when I finally finished and got to ring a little bell, everyone's like, celebrate. And I'm like, I don't really feel like celebrating though. Like, it just felt kind of hollow and empty. And I think it was that arrival fallacy, that feeling like if you can just get to this thing, everything will be fine. But, I still had credit card bills. I still had to worry about deadlines. I still had the stress of, whatever was happening with the, in the kids' lives, whatever drama was going on. None of that stopped, as it didn't stop through all of treatment. But I think when you sort of put in your mind, like, okay, I'm just gonna get here. Everything's gonna be perfect. I won't have to worry about anything again. And then you get there, you've got to deal with all of the heaviness of like, it's just like, now you're a survivor. So now you have to go on your way, doing all the things you did before, all the stresses, all the bills, all the things, maybe more stresses. Cause now you're like, is it going to recur? Like you've got that extra piece of it to hold on to forever, that nice little souvenir. And, so dealing with all those emotions and working through them, is important. And a lot of the time it happens at the end. And sometimes the absolute worst feelings, the most depressed feelings come at the end. When you think, and then everyone doesn't understand. They're like, but you should be happy. But everything's good, but you're good. Your hair's growing back. It looks great.
Yeah, but where's my security blanket?
Yeah.
Where's my pacifier?
Exactly.
It's like a baby who's had a pacifier, and then all of a sudden you take it out of their mouth. Like, well, wait, what?
Right.
It's all this anticipation that builds up around chemotherapy and treatment, and you're nervous, and then you get in it, and it's like a new routine. It's like, okay, I'm doing this, and I'm okay, and you get into the routine, and then you're finished. It's like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
Where's my protection?
Right. I was checking in with these people, the same nurses, the same people every week, and then it's gone, and it does feel weird. Like it does feel like you're naked. Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's strange because I think we don't spend enough time talking about it because we don't. And
the word you use, hollow, is the perfect example of how it feels. It's just like standing in an empty ballroom.
Yes.
And you're talking. It's like, what do I do?
Yes. Right. And then the support groups you've built and the friendships you've built with other people in treatment feels a little different now. Like you're not in treatment. You don't get to check in with them as much. Like it's not like, okay, this week I'm doing this. Like now you have to reach out for a different reason. It just feels, and then you have to, you slowly come back into the world of people that never had cancer. And you feel like you're just different. You're changed.
Right.
Like, you've been out there, you've experienced something, you've come back, you have to be normal. But the same, at least for me, I didn't see some of the same things the same way. The same, people, they would get riled up about something small at work. I'd be like, okay. I mean,
right.
Is it really that big a deal? I mean, are we, I'm like, is it a biopsy in the armpit? No. Is it a needle in the armpit? Then, okay, I'm not, is it a double
bone marrow biopsy where I have to be awake and then put the long needle in my back? No.
Yeah, exactly. Ugh. Yeah.
The level, like what becomes important to you after a cancer diagnosis is significantly different.
Yes.
From before having cancer.
Exactly. It really is like, but are you dying though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you were driving so crazy, but did you die?
Yeah, but did you die? Did you die?
No.
It's fine. Then you're fine. You're fine. Exactly. Yeah. It's so true. The perspective's different. So even then you feel like out of step with some of your, friends from before, because they're sort of like, welcome back to the group. Like, now you can spend time with us. Now you don't feel as bad. Now we can celebrate, and it just, it takes a while. So I think it's important to show yourself a whole lot of grace in that time, because you're still going through something.
Yeah. And it's like after you finish all of it and your loved ones are here and they're like you said, welcome back, but you never go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're forever different. You're forever changed. And sometimes after going through, some of those people that, you go back to, you realize, I don't want to be around you anymore.
Oh yeah. Oh, completely. I mean,
do you talk about that anywhere in the book?
Yeah. Well, there's a chapter about getting rid of toxic people in your life, because you only have room for one toxic jerk, and that's cancer. So you got to get rid of the toxic people. They're easier to spot when you are going through cancer treatment, because they make themselves known pretty quickly. Like, and hopefully it's not, your spouse or your partner or someone very close to you, and you've cleaned house before you got cancer. Because if there's, there are a lot of reasons to get out of a toxic relationship, but the number one is that if anything happens to you, you're, they're not going to be there for you, so, having been in toxic relationships myself, I can say that for a fact. Like, I was very glad that, when this diagnosis rolled around, that I was out of those toxic relationships and in a very healthy and good one, so but the toxic people just don't have a place, in your life, both during cancer treatment or after, because the thing you will bring away from it is you're stronger than you were when you started. And you didn't start. I mean, you were stronger than you thought you were when you started, but you're strong now, because at the beginning, when people were like, "Oh, you're strong, you got this," I was like, "I don't have it. You're brave." I'm like, "I'm not brave," But now when people are like, "You're strong, you're brave," I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know I am." Like, I went through it. Like, once you walk through the fire, once you go through all the things, once you face your fears, you're strong. Absolutely. So that certainty in that you faced really difficult things and you didn't look away. And or at least in my case, I didn't book the one-way flight to Australia. I stuck around. So, once you know that certainty about yourself, you have a lot less tolerance for foolish people and toxic people and, people that want to drain you because you have that certainty.
Yeah. So Cara, what is your biggest, you mentioned that you didn't run away to Australia.
I know. I wanted
to. You stood firm where you were planted, and you did what you had to do to you sat there, you sat in your journey, you worked through it, you did your work.
Yep.
What is your biggest takeaway from your journey with cancer?
Yeah. I think there are two things. One, my mantra through the whole thing was, there's no way but through, because
Mm-hmm.
to me, I was doing a lot of bargaining with myself at the beginning, like maybe if this happens, or maybe that, or maybe it'll be easier if I do this, or maybe I could get around. I was always trying to bargain and get out of the hard stuff, whatever whether that's chemo or surgery or anything. And then I just had to come to a place of acceptance. There's just no way but through. And I don't have to be pretty when I go through. I don't have to be graceful. I can be a bull in a china shop. I just have to go through. I just have to keep moving and go through. So that was the mantra where I took strength and got strength from. And it also just stopped the bargaining, and the excuse making that I was always doing, and I could always just fly to Australia. No, there's no way but through. I got to go through. There's no round. There's no shortcut. There's through. There's just through. And that served me well outside of cancer too. Sometimes in difficult times, we all want to try to get around, and really through is the only way. And secondly, the second thing was something my counselor taught me, which is that cancer doesn't get to decide. So in the throes of diagnosis and dealing with cancer, it felt like cancer was running the show, and that I had to do everything, on a cancer's whim, like I do this, drop this. But cancer doesn't get to decide. I decided what treatment to get, how I felt about it, all of those things. And that served me well too, in that it's my life. Like no matter what happens, if it's cancer or something terrible, those things don't control me, and they don't control my life.
Absolutely.
Bad politics, people who discriminate, unfairness in the world, those things don't define me. I define me. Like, they don't get to decide. I decide how I feel, what choices I make, So those are the two things that I really took away from the journey. No way but through, and cancer doesn't get to decide.
Absolutely. Cara, I have enjoyed our time together. This has been an awesome conversation.
Yes, April, me too.
Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Please share with us, how can we follow you? How can we find the book? Tell us all of those details.
Yes. Well, come to caratheauthor.com, and it's Cara with a C, caratheauthor.com. And you can get all the details about where to order the breast cancer book. There's no good book for this. All my social medias are on there. So it's at Cara the author, or at Cara_Lockwood in most places. So you can find me there, but caratheauthor.com is where everything is.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Certainly enjoyed you. And listen, I don't know if you've heard about Breast Cancer Baddie Con. We had our inaugural Breast Cancer Baddie Con in Atlanta this past March.
Oh,
and we're looking to do it again in May of 2026. I think we need to have you on the main stage.
I would love to be there. I would absolutely love to be there. It'd be my ultimate pleasure. Yes, please. I'd be honored.
Okay. So we'll talk more about that behind the scenes.
Perfect.
I want to just thank you again for joining us and being a part of the conversation. For our Baddie to Baddie podcast, you can find us on all streaming platforms. Also, please visit us at our website, which is forthebreastofus.com. Also, you can find us on social media as well: Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter. And you might even find a couple of TikToks if you go on TikTok as well. So be on the lookout for information about Breast Cancer Baddie Con 2026. It's going to be amazing. We're going to be back in Atlanta, Georgia again. So we look forward to you being with us and joining us. And have a great evening, baddies. Bye.
This is another Baddie creation brought to you by For the Breast of Us. Don't forget to subscribe to Baddie wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram at For the Breast of Us, on Twitter at The Breast of Us, and check us out online at breastofus.com. Thanks for listening.